This video is for educational purposes. Dublin is the capital and largest city of Ireland. On a bay at the mouth of the River Liffey, it is in the province of Leinster, bordered on the south by the Dublin Mountains, a part of the Wicklow Mountains range. At the 2022 census, the municipal area had a population of 592,713, while Dublin City and its suburbs had a population of 1,263,219, and County Dublin had a population of 1,458,154. The Greater Dublin area had a population of 2,082,605 at the 2022 census. Kindly subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends and families. A settlement was established in the area by the Gaels during or before the 7th century, followed by the Vikings. As the Kingdom of Dublin grew, it became Ireland's principal settlement by the 12th century Anglo-Norman invasion of Ireland. The city expanded rapidly from the 17th century and was briefly the second largest in the British Empire and sixth largest in Western Europe after the Acts of Union in 1800. Following independence in 1922, Dublin became the capital of the Irish Free State, renamed Ireland in 1937. As of 2018, the city was listed by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network, GAWC, as a global city, with a ranking of Alpha-, which placed it among the top 30 cities in the world. The name Dublin derives from the Irish word Duibhlin, early Classical Irish Dublind/Duibblind, from dub meaning black, dark, and lin, pool, referring to a dark tidal pool. This tidal pool was located where the River Poddle entered the Liffey, on the site of the castle gardens at the rear of Dublin Castle. In modern Irish the name is Duibhlin, and Irish rhymes from County Dublin show that in Dublin Leinster Irish it was pronounced Dublin. The original pronunciation is preserved in the names for the city in other languages such as Old English Dyflin, Old Norse Dyflin, Modern Icelandic Dyflin and Modern Manx Divlin, as well as Welsh Dublin and Breton Dublin. Other localities in Ireland also bear the name Duibhlin, variously anglicized as Devlin, Divlin and Difflin. Historically, scribes using the Gaelic script wrote BH with a dot over the B, rendering Dublin or Dublin. Those without knowledge of Irish omitted the dot, spelling the name as Dublin. Variations on the name are also found in traditionally Gaelic-speaking areas of Scotland, Gaeltacht, cognate with Irish Gaeltacht, such as in Linn Dub, the Black Pool, which is part of Loch Linnhe. It is now thought that the Viking settlement was preceded by a Christian ecclesiastical settlement known as Duibhlin, from which Dyflin took its name. Beginning in the 9th and 10th centuries, there were two settlements where the modern city stands. The Viking settlement of about 841, Dyflin, and a Gaelic settlement, Cliath, Ford of Hurdles, further up the river, at the present-day Father Matthew Bridge, also known as Dublin Bridge, at the bottom of Church Street. Baal Atha Cliath, meaning Town of the Hurdled Ford, is the common name for the city in modern Irish. Cliath is a place name referring to a fording point of the River Liffey near Father Matthew Bridge. Baal Atha Cliath was an early Christian monastery, believed to have been in the area of Ongier Street, currently occupied by Whitefriar Street Carmelite Church. There are other towns of the same name, such as Cliath in East Ayrshire, Scotland, which is anglicized as Hurlford. The city is also referred to as Blee Cliath and Blee Cliath in Irish, particularly when spoken. These are contracted versions of Baal Atha Cliath. The area of Dublin Bay has been inhabited by humans since prehistoric times. Fish traps discovered from excavations during the construction of the Convention Centre Dublin indicate human habitation as far back as 6,000 years ago. Further traps were discovered closer to the old settlement of the city of Dublin on the South Quays near St. James's Gate, which also indicate Mesolithic human activity. The writings of Ptolemy, the Greco-Roman astronomer and cartographer, in about 140 AD provide possibly the earliest reference to a settlement near Dublin. He called it Eblana Polis, Greek, Beta Lambda Alpha Nu Alpha Pi Lambda Iota. Dublin celebrated its official millennium in 1988, meaning the Irish government recognized 988 as the year in which the city was settled and that this first settlement would later become the city of Dublin. It is now thought the Viking settlement of about 841 was preceded by a Christian ecclesiastical settlement known as Duibhlin, from which Dyflin took its name. Evidence indicating that Anglo-Saxons occupied Dublin before the Vikings arrived in 841 has been found in an archaeological dig in Temple Bar. Beginning in the 9th and 10th centuries, there were two settlements which later became modern Dublin. The subsequent Scandinavian settlement centered on the River Poddle, a tributary of the Liffey in an area now known as Wood Quay. The Dublin was a pool on the lowest stretch of the Poddle, where ships used to moor. This pool was finally fully infilled during the early 18th century, as the city grew. The Dublin lay where the castle garden is now located, opposite the Chester Beatty Library within Dublin Castle. Tain Buaquailn, the cattle raid of Cooley, refers to Dublin Rissa Radar Adh Cliath, meaning Dublin, which is called Adh Cliath. In 841, the Vikings established a fortified base in Dublin. The town grew into a substantial commercial centre under Olaf Guthfrithson in the mid to late 10th century and, despite a number of attacks by the native Irish, it remained largely under Viking control until the Norman invasion of Ireland was launched from Wales in 1169. It was upon the death of Muirchertach mac Lochlainn in early 1166 that Ruaidhri Ua Conchobar, king of Connaught, proceeded to Dublin and was inaugurated King of Ireland without opposition. According to some historians, part of the city's early economic growth is attributed to a trade in slaves. Slavery in Ireland and Dublin reached its pinnacle in the 9th and 10th centuries. Prisoners from slave raids and kidnappings, which captured men, women and children, brought revenue to the Gaelic Irish Sea Raiders, as well as to the Vikings who had initiated the practice. The victims came from Wales, England, Normandy, and beyond. The King of Leinster, Diarmait mac Murchada, after his exile by Ruaidhri, enlisted the help of Strongbow, the Earl of Pembroke, to conquer Dublin. Following Mac Murrogh's death, Strongbow declared himself King of Leinster after gaining control of the city. In response to Strongbow's successful invasion, Henry II of England affirmed his ultimate sovereignty by mounting a larger invasion in 1171 and pronounced himself Lord of Ireland. Around this time, the county of the city of Dublin was established along with certain liberties adjacent to the city proper. This continued down to 1840 when the barony of Dublin City was separated from the barony of Dublin. Since 2001, both baronies have been redesignated as the City of Dublin. Dublin Castle, which became the centre of Anglo-Norman power in Ireland, was founded in 1204 as a major defensive work on the orders of King John of England. Following the appointment of the first Lord Mayor of Dublin in 1229, the city expanded and had a population of 8,000 by the end of the 13th century. Dublin prospered as a trade centre, despite an attempt by King Robert I of Scotland to capture the city in 1317. It remained a relatively small walled medieval town during the 14th century and was under constant threat from the surrounding native clans. In 1348, the Black Death, a lethal plague which had ravaged Europe, took hold in Dublin and killed thousands over the following decade. Dublin was the heart of the area known as the Pale, a narrow strip of English settlement along the eastern coast, under the control of the English crown. The Tudor conquest of Ireland in the 16th century spelt a new era for Dublin, with the city enjoying a renewed prominence as the centre of administrative rule in Ireland where English control and settlement had become much more extensive. Determined to make Dublin a Protestant city, Queen Elizabeth I established Trinity College in 1592 as a solely Protestant university and ordered that the Catholic St. Patrick's and Christ Church cathedrals be converted to the Protestant Church. The earliest map of the city of Dublin dates from 1610, and was by John Speed. The city had a population of 21,000 in 1640 before a plague from 1649 to 1651 wiped out almost half of the inhabitants. However, the city prospered again soon after as a result of the wool and linen trade with England and reached a population of over 50,000 in 1700. By 1698 the manufacture of wool employed 12,000 people. As the city continued to prosper during the 18th century, Georgian Dublin became, for a short period, the second largest city of the British Empire and the fifth largest city in Europe, with the population exceeding 130,000. While some medieval streets and layouts, including the areas around Temple Bar, Ongier Street, Capel Street and Thomas Street, were less affected by the wave of Georgian reconstruction, much of Dublin's architecture and layout dates from this period. Dublin grew even more dramatically during the 18th century, with the construction of many new districts and buildings, such as Merrion Square, Parliament House and the Royal Exchange. The Wide Streets Commission was established in 1757 at the request of Dublin Corporation to govern architectural standards on the layout of streets, bridges and buildings. In 1759, the Guinness Brewery was founded, and would eventually grow to become the largest brewery in the world and the largest employer in Dublin. During the 1700s, linen was not subject to the same trade restrictions with England as wool, and became the most important Irish export. Over 1.5 million yards of linen was exported from Ireland in 1710, rising to almost 19 million yards by 1779. Dublin suffered a period of political and economic decline during the 19th century following the Acts of Union 1800, under which the seat of government was transferred to the Westminster Parliament in London. Thank you for watching this video. Kindly subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends and families. See you in the next one.